My name is Craig Allen Subler. I am both an artist and I am both museum administrator. I've lived in both worlds, and so my work reflects that. And I'm looking forward to kind of talking to you about it. For many years, I worked in a museum, and I had the opportunity to observe how people use a museum. And a museum is a very interesting place, as we all know. But a lot of times, I think visitors to the museum don't really understand or aren't aware of what their opportunities are when they're in the museum. And one of those is moving through space and how one uses that museum. And I think my work is all about that. It's about how people move through the museum. But it's also about being a good observer. And I think that over the years, watching people in museums, not only the museums and galleries that I've worked in, but also museums in other places around the world, and how they use those, people use those spaces, and what stories people take away from those institutions after they visited. So the color and the early drawings that I've produced is really very simple. And I wanted to be able to kind of do drawing again and revisit drawing that I thought that my work had really, over time, had begun to really lack a certain kind of clarity to. So I embarked on doing 200 drawings of people in museums. And I did this over several years of working and visiting other museums, as well as being a visiting artist in certain workshops and at other institutions. So the early drawings tended to be very straightforward, pencil and India ink drawings. But as time went on, I began to use more and more color in the drawing. The drawings are very small, and they're very, usually about 9 by 10 inches. But the exhibition that is here also includes large paintings, and it includes a series of long horizontal prints. So in reality, what looks as one homogeneous show about museums and people in those museums is really 3 stories. 3 very distinct stories that I wanted to have a conversation with the viewer when they come into my exhibition. And the first part of that story is really these small drawings, all 200 of them. The ones that we've selected for the exhibition here are across a variety of subject matters. And so at first, as a viewer, you may think, these are very confusing. I don't understand what the artist is trying to say. And that's not a wrong way to look at these. In fact, that's an important part of you, the viewer, and me having a conversation with you. So one of the great things is that the little drawings that you have in the exhibition really talk about a person or a very personal kind of view. And you notice when you look at these drawings that these people are looking, but they're looking at something beyond your picture plane. In a way, these little drawings are like an individual story or a little story, a page out of a book of a much larger story. But they also make the viewer reflect on what is this person doing? And ultimately that means, and makes you think about, what am I doing? Why am I looking at this picture? And what is this person looking at? So the smaller drawings ultimately become really important to a larger story, which the large paintings talk about. The large paintings are more complex. They're more layered in the stories that they're trying to communicate from me to you. And to enjoy those, I think it's really important that you understand that there are layers in the larger paintings. And in many ways, these larger paintings are the entire book. Think about when you look at the larger paintings and the smaller drawings, what you're doing. When you're looking at the smaller drawings, you have to come into those drawings. You have to step forward to inspect those drawings. You're looking at the line. You're becoming aware of the different colors and shapes that are in those small drawings. That's a really important thing that you probably didn't realize you were doing. But it's part of enjoying a small, intimate work. When you look at the larger paintings, you have to step away. You have to back up. So your relationship to those two different stories create a very different experience. And it's an experience that I want you to become aware of when you are in a museum or when you're in a gallery. When we look at the prints, which are long horizontal images, something different is happening there. What's happening is the fact that you're being told a much more defined story. It's not a little drawing, and you don't step into it. It's not a large painting where you step away from it. But this is one that you read probably from right to left, as if you were reading a book. And the story that that vignette of an image is telling you, you become kind of really interested in. What is the relationship of these people? Where are they going? Are they hustling out of a gallery, or are they coming in to contemplate what's in that gallery? So here is a much more linear or cinematic story to be told and for you to kind of decipher. And I'm not giving you any idea of how to read these images, because we'll all read these images in a very different way. And that's important too, that these stories or the images themselves kind of unfold over time. And I think what great art does and what good art does is that it tells you something new every time you have the opportunity to kind of see it.